the 15th day of Sivan, corresponding to the 7th day of June 2020. We hope that everybody had a beautiful Shabbat Perashat Naso at the respective synagogue, wherever you may have been, or in the respective homes. Today's class has been graciously dedicated anonymously Le'ilui Nishmat, one of the pillars of the community in Panama City, Panama, the community of Shevet Achim, Don Isaac Silvera ben Bahie, alav shalom, that today is the day of his Askara. Mr. Silvera, alav shalom, was very instrumental, together with the wonderful groups of leaders under the great leadership of the Hacham Sion Levi, alav shalom, of establishing, which is considered the beautiful community of Panama City, Panama. But beautiful is as well is that his sons also continue in the footsteps of their beloved father, that they help the community and they develop Torah-oriented programs for the youth, for the young adults, that makes that beautiful community a most vibrant community under the leadership of my dear friend and colleague, Rabbi David Perez Shelita. So Yiratzon, that the words of Torah of today be for the elevation of the soul of Don Isaac Silvera ben Bahie, alav shalom. The Gemara of today from Masechet Berachot, it tells us something that I believe the Kahal knows, but I think that is important to remind ourselves occasionally. The Gemara from Masechet Berachot, page 34a, Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Le'olam al yish'al adam serachab, lo b'shalosh rishonot, ולא בשלוש אחרונות, אלא באמצעיות. Very easy to understand piece of the Talmud that says, forever, a person should never ask when they pray the Amidah. We know very well that the Amidah is divided into three parts: the beginning of the Amidah, the middle of the Amidah, and the final part of the Amidah. The first part of the Amidah, it's all about praising HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hakel, Hagadol, Gibor, Benora, etc. Those are the first three berachot. Then we have 13 berachot in the middle, from Atah Honen Le'adam Da'at till Shomei HaTefillah. There you have 13 berachot. From Shomei HaTefillah till the end, that includes Modim, Sim Shalom, etc., are part of the prayers of Hoda'ah. Hoda'ah literally means expressing gratitude to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So therefore, the Gemara says, when you are praising Hashem, it's not the moment to ask. First praise, then you ask, and then you express gratitude. And I'm sure that anybody who follows the Siddur and understands or look at the translation, right away you will decipher what to pray for in each blessing. The first blessing is about wisdom. The second blessing is about repentance. Third blessing is forgiveness. The fourth blessing is for salvation of hardship or suffering. The fifth blessing is all about healing, refuah shelema. The next blessing, the sixth blessing, it's all about the prayer for parnasah, and so forth, until we come to the final segment of the tefillah. The Amar Rabbi Hanina, and Rabbi Hanina explains why did Rabbi Yehuda needed to make such a statement. So it says, Rishonot, the first three berachot, dome le'eved shemesader shebach lifnei rabbo. This is like a servant that is setting up the praises to his master. The middle is the servant who now asks, and the third, it's like the person asks permission, so to speak, and expresses the gratitude to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And not only that, that according to many opinions, at the end of the Amidah, certain Siddurim bring extra prayers, Yiratzon, prayers against anger, prayers against envy, about jealousy, prayers about physical well-being overall. We pray for different kinds of lives that we would like to have: life of peace, life of harmony, life of success, life of good fortune, etc. And it's fine because this comes from many, many, many beautiful halachic sources and is permissible. But at least in the first part of the Amidah and in the part of Hoda'ah, just we follow the pattern of the Talmud, which is Baruch Hashem something that everybody does accordingly. Now, later on, the Gemara discusses about the length of the prayer. And it is not so clear if the length of the prayer means time or the length of the prayer means how much a person asks during the prayer. Obviously, tefillot should take some time. Obviously, in our current situation, many synagogues, they are a bit expediting the prayers for obvious health and medical reasons. But overall, a person should take advantage of the few moments of the day that we are able to pray to the best of our abilities. Concentrated in the prayers, trying to understand the prayers, avoiding getting distracted from the prayers, which regretfully it does happen. It does happen thanks to technology. Now we're carrying with us a cell phone that is constantly with us, and many times it causes disturbances in the prayer. Even for this class, I'm having 2 cell phones next to me, plus a laptop, plus a recorder. This is technology, but we're focusing in the only thing that we are doing now, sharing words of Torah with the Kahal. But imagine yourself if I'm praying and then I take off my phone to check the messages, or I jump every time my cell phone vibrates, who could be, who is calling me, who is texting me, etc. So we need to, I believe, that the fact, as I said on Friday, that many synagogues are gradually and slowly opening up, let's try to make the individual and collective effort to make a difference. Even many people may not follow to what I'm saying, but if one person makes a difference, the whole thing was worth it. It's like yesterday we read Perashat Naso, the longest parasha of the Sefer Torah, 176 pesukim. The last 89 pesukim, and I'm throwing you the numbers just to a bit of an understanding what's going on here. It sounds a bit repetitive. If you have 12 tribes and each offering is like a 6 pesukim, so 12 times 6, that's 72. So from the 89 pesukim of the offering of the Hanukkah Mizbeach, 72, they sound very repetitive. Okay, I'll give you a discount. I'll take one verse from each sacrifice because it contains the name of the tribe and the name of the prince. So you have 5 times 12, 60 pesukim. Now, if any of us will be in charge of writing, we could have said, what's the big deal? Why is there a need to repeat the same offering that the different 12 tribes offered? Perhaps, right, these are the name of the 12 leaders of the 12 tribes of Israel. Give me a couple of pesukim with the names. Then it says, Ekrivu et korbanam. They all offer the same. But yet the Torah, no, doesn't do that. And I'm a human, so I'm able to make mistakes. But the Torah is perfect. Every pasuk and every message and every line of the Torah, it carries a godly message. So there are a few answers to this question. One opinion says that even though the korbanot are the same in theory, but each shevet had their own level of kavanah and understanding what the korbanot actually represented. And we know this because Even every tribe had a different symbol, and every tribe had a different color flag, and every tribe representing something different. So therefore, the kavanah will be different. This is one peshat. But the Lekachtov brings from the Darkei Musar, and it says that the Torah is teaching us how Borei Olam considers every person in Am Israel like Ben Yahid, like their only child. Imagine yourself, parents that have 4 children, or 5 children, or 3 children, or parents that have 1 child only. Who is able to give more love? Depends how you look at it. You may say, oh, they're 4 because they get 4 times the same love. I can argue and say, no. They get the love for 1, but needs to be split. Okay, today for you, tomorrow for you, the day after for you. I'm spending time with him, I'm spending time with her. You have to wait your turn. But imagine yourself, the child that is an only child. All the love and all the emotions and all the affection of the parents is concentrated in 1. And this is what the Lekachtov explains about the Nesi'im. For us, it appears repetitive. For us, it appears what's the difference. For Borei Olam, he gave undivided attention to every one of the Nesi'im, the way they offer the Korban, based on their kavanah, based on their understanding, etc. I saw this and I said, what a beautiful lesson that Borei Olam pays attention to the individuality of the person, which we always knew this, but sometimes we need to be reminded. It's like people that come to pray, correct? And the Gemara writes, Lefum Sara Agra, according to the effort invested for that particular mitzvah, Borei Olam rewards the person. Meaning to say, it could be 10 people coming to pray, or 15 people coming to pray, and Borei Olam has a different settlement for each individual. Even though they all collectively came to pray with the minyan, but one had to go to the office late because of the minyan. Other fellow came walking 4 blocks. Other fellow went down 10 floors. And other fellow wasn't easy for him to come, but he came. So we don't know this, how the system works. But we know for sure that Borei Olam not only pays attention to the collective effort, but Borei Olam also considers very seriously the individual effort made by each individual accordingly. With that being said, the Gemara tells a story. Tanu Rabbanan, מעשה תלמידי חד, שירד לפני התיבה בפני רבי אליעזר. A student of the yeshiva was invited to be the Hazan in front of Rabbi Eliezer. Beautiful. והיה מעריך יותר מדי. But apparently this fellow took too long to do the Amidah. אמרו לו תלמידיו. The students went to the rabbi to complain. He says, Hacham, what are we doing with this guy? כמה ארכנו זה? How slow or how long does it take to pray to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? What is there to say more? Amar lahem, look at the reaction of Rabbi Eliezer. It says, Kelum ma'arich yoter min Moshe Rabbeinu. It says, do you think that is considered a prayer, a long prayer? By us, the Amidah, at least Shaharit, Mincha, Arvit, you took a high-speed reading course? The guy left, but he understood my message. I mean, you finish Oseh Shalom, and half of the Kahal still isn't saying Ata Honen or Ashivenu. So the idea is not to run to the prayer. Obviously, the idea is not to take 15 minutes in the Amidah. That's not realistic for our synagogues. But at least the few minutes that we have together to pray the Amidah, try to have it and make it a bit meaningful. And it says Moshe Rabbeinu prayed for forgiveness 40 days and 40 nights. So do you call this to be a long prayer? Okay. The Gemara continues. Shuv Maaseh. It came another story with another student, Shiarad Lifnei HaTeva, who was invited to be the Hazan, and Rabbi Eliezer was attending that minyan. Be'aya mekatzer yoter midai b'tfilato. This fellow went to the other extreme. The first case was that this fellow was taking a very long time. The 40 days, by the way, that I was referring to refers after the sin of the golden calf. That Moshe Rabbeinu went up to Chodesh Elul and came down Yom Kippur, and it took 40 days of constant prayer and begging for the welfare of the Jewish people. And this individual apparently did the Amidah short. Kama kasran amar lahem. Do you think that he made a short prayer? Kelu mekatzer yoter mi Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu even did a shorter prayer than a quick tefillah. And we need to remember what the Talmud says. Hasidim Arishonim, in the early days, in the early generations, the pious ones used to come to the synagogue an hour before prayer, pray for an hour, and stay another hour after prayer. Yani took 3 hours shaharit, 3 hours minha, and 3 hours arvit. So the Gemara asks on the spot. So if you spend 9 hours praying and kavanah and thinking about the prayer, what about your parnasah? So the Gemara says that melachtam na'asa al yedei aharim. These individuals who devoted the time to pray, they experience miracles and wonders in their livelihood. Like the Rabbi Yosef Galimidi Shalom. He used to work once a week and make it for the entire week when to learn. Then he worked once a month and made it for the whole month. He went to work once a year and he made parnasah for an entire year of 1 day of working. Obviously, you're going to say, Rabbi, we're talking about Rabbi Yosef Karo, Maran Bet Yosef, who encountered himself with angels and lived in the time of Rabbeinu Ahari. True, but I'll tell you one thing. Maran Bet Yosef was not born the Maran Bet Yosef. He became the Maran Bet Yosef. And that is the message of the Gemara. And that is the message of the books of Musar. To tell us what is expected or what can be done to make life more meaningful life. So the Gemara says, hold on a minute. What do you mean Moshe Rabbeinu did a short prayer? We just finished saying that Moshe Rabbeinu went up to Har Sinai, no, after Har Sinai, went up to ask for forgiveness. And that's the reason why, according to our tradition, we do Selichot for 40 days, is because of this pasuk of the Heta Egel. So where did Moshe Rabbeinu pray a very short prayer? And says the Gemara, Ba'izak Moshe Lashem Lemor, El na refa na la. Which, interesting enough, this is found in this week's Torah portion. If we look at the Torah portion, when the pasuk tells us that Miriam made a comment about the wife of Moshe, and Miriam was punished, afflicted by Sara'at, and the pasuk tells us, Ba'izak Moshe Lashem, and Moshe Rabbeinu literally cry out to Hashem, and it says, El na refa na la. El na, I beseech you, Hashem, refa na la. Please heal her. This is what the pasuk tells us. Now, and Rashi gives an interesting question, and he says, hold on a minute. Why did you make such a short prayer? It's your sister. She's actually responsible for the saving of the life of Moshe Rabbeinu. And a lot of the things that happened through the life of Moshe Rabbeinu were because of Miriam, including his birth. His mother getting pregnant with Moshe was thanks to Miriam. So how does he make such a short prayer? Rashi answers this question, and it says, שלא יסל אומרים אחותו עומדת בשרה ועומד ומרבה תפילה. It says, hold on a minute, the only reason why Moshe Rabbeinu is taking too long is because of his sister. What about the rest of us? He doesn't pray that much for us? And for that reason, Moshe Rabbeinu made a single sentence prayer. Kel na refa na la. How many words? 5 words. And the Gemara brings a very interesting component to this Gemara of today. That interesting enough, we find it in the Parashah of the week. So what does Rabbi Eliezer is trying to say to the students that are complaining about how quick was the prayer? So it says, if Moshe Rabbeinu did a prayer with a sentence, how long do you think it took to say that sentence? So we did much more than that. So therefore, it's okay. But also we need to understand one thing, that for the Talmudic, how do I say this, standards to pray fast, maybe the Amidah took 20 minutes instead of an hour. Can you imagine to pray Amidah for 1 hour? I've seen it done, but as an observer, I wasn't praying in that minyan. Very isolated, but I did see him. But there's sometimes that I travel out of town and I inquire, how long is your Amidah? One time I went to a synagogue, they told me, oh, minimum 8 to 10 minutes. I said, okay, I'll do my best. And as much as I tried to stretch the Amidah with the thoughts and prayers and extra readings that some Sidurim have, I was done by 6 minutes. So I waited patiently when I finished my 3 steps, the way the Halacha writes, that when you finish the Amidah, you should not go back until the Hazan began with the Hazara and you're about to say Nagdishach. You shouldn't sit, you shouldn't walk around. You can sit if you cannot stand. If you have physical pain or medical condition or limited mobility, definitely you can sit. But the young able bodies, the Halacha says clearly, you stand where you finish, you don't talk, and you just wait till the Hazan begins with the Hazara, and close to Nagdishach, that's when we step up to the original place. And the Gemara, interesting enough, brings an added halacha concerning Moshe Rabbeinu praying for his sister. Amar Rabbi Yaakov, Amar Rabbi Hizda, Kol hamabakesh nachamim al havero, anyone who is asking, so to speak, mercy for his brothers, or for his relatives, or his friends, en sarich leazkir shemo. Rabbi Yaakov says in the name of Hizda, you don't have to mention the name of the person. In other words, you can say, Bore Olam sent her refuah shelema, and you can just think of the person. And where do we learn it from? Shene'emar elna refana la velo kamatkar shema de Miriam. And Moshe Rabbeinu did not mention the name of Miriam in the prayer. Now, I do know that some people will say, but Rabbi, how can you say Mishaberach without saying the name? From this Gemara, it seems to imply that you don't need to say the name. Just have the kavanah in your mind. Who are you praying for? And Bore Olam will coordinate your thought with the prayer recited, etc. I find this a very interesting Gemara, and I repeat what I said a few moments ago. This is our great opportunity to try to enhance a bit more our Amidah. And as I said many times, go ahead, get an English Siddur or Spanish Siddur, try to understand the prayers, and try to insert your own requests in each blessing accordingly. I'm sure that we all know people who need refuah shelema. I know that we know people who would love for them to get closer to Hashem, to our Torah, to our traditions. Parnasah. Parnasah, we all need Parnasah, so pray for that as well. In other words, let's take advantage of the few minutes of sanity that we have in our prayer, that we're not talking to anybody, but we're only talking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's why the Amidah part of the prayer, it's in Olam Ha'atzilut. In English, they call it the world of emanation, but we can say it easier. The world that a person can be direct contact with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It doesn't mean that the other prayers don't have, but as we learned in the past, different prayers have different patterns and different levels of spirituality. So, but the Amidah, look at the Amidah, has the date with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And guess what? This is a gift that we have, Baruch Hashem, every day of our life. So therefore, I think that we need to take advantage of, especially in the challenging days that we are all experiencing as a nation, as Yehudim, and as a residents of this beautiful country. Now, let's read the Musar of today. Let me just scan quickly here and see if I miss anything. Excellent. Sefer Hasidim, chapter 74, 75. אל תהי בז לדיבור אחיך, כשהוא מדבר בדרך גאווה דברים שנדעת סובלתן. בנוח לך להשפילו מגאוותו ולתופסו בדבריו. I read it in Hebrew because in Hebrew sounds so beautiful and so poetic. But allow me to give you the basic translation of today's message of Sefer Hasidim. And it says, how should be our reaction when somebody speaks with arrogance or with a certain level of haughtiness? And you say, you know what? I'm going to put this fellow on the spot. I'm going to denigrate him to lower his ga'ava, his holiness, etc. Sefer Hasidim says, don't do this. Don't do it. Don't do nothing that can create some level of argument or animosity with people, even though you can put them on the spot. And let's clarify. There is a difference between educating our children, that when we see that our children develop ways of talking or behaviors or attitudes which are not appropriate, which are not suitable, definitely it's an obligation for us as parents to educate our children in the proper way. But even that, as we may have mentioned this a long time ago, we need to find the proper moment and the proper words to say it to our children. But what about an adult? You're sitting with a couple of friends and somebody makes a comment XYZ and it sounds like very arrogant. So it says, the Sefer Hasidim, it says, stay quiet. Even though she'en da'ata sobaltan, even though that the right mind, it's like a person starts talking about what is he planning to do for his son's wedding or son's bar mitzvah, and he's giving you all these lavish ideas about what to do or what did he do, etc. So people need to be, I believe, a bit sensitive of what's going on, of what happened in the past 3 months and what's going on today at all levels. But yet, it says, interesting enough, that a person should learn how not to react adversely in this type of situation. But that doesn't mean that you cannot say anything to the person. You can say, listen, if it will be up to me now, I need to assess the whole situation. You can say that if you want to voice your opinion. You don't want neither to stay quiet and people believe that you agree. But it says, what you are going to gain by embarrassing him. כמעט תרוויח בדבר. It says, אל תקנטר שום אדם. Don't act with animosity against any person, אפילו נוכרי, even when it comes to a goy. Why? Here brings a powerful Talmud Yerushalmi from Masechet Terumot. And it says, כי כאשר יעבור הזמן ואתה תשכח, יהיה איתו לזיכרון. Okay, the Gemara says in Talmud Yerushalmi that, and he brings a maaseh that we're going to explain about it soon, that Goyim, many times, they hold a grudge against the Yehudim. And maybe the Yehudi forgets, but the Goy does not forget. The same way that a Yehudi, that a Goy remembers that a Yehudi did something for him good and saved his life and provided for him and employed him, if God forbid a Yehudi mistreats a Goy, the Goy remembers. The way that Talmud Yerushalmi brings a story about a fellow, he tells a story here, a shepherd of pigs. He was a young man in the city of Tiberias, and when he was walking with all these animals next to the yeshiva students came out and they started to belittle him, make fun of him, and he escaped embarrassed. And what happens? The wheel of fortune turned. This young pig shepherd, so to speak, became the minister of the country. And it says, very good, and he wanted to get rid of all the Hachamim of Tiberias. And Borei Olam saved them. This is brought down in the Talmud Yerushalmi Masechet Terumot. God saved them, and the proof is that this young Goy remember what the yeshiva students did to him. And let's clarify. It doesn't mean that this was the modus operandi of the yeshiva students. But regretfully, in this case, they acted in a way that it wasn't appropriate. And that's the reason why the Halakha talks about returning money to a goy. Okay? There is an added element when you return money to a goy, the element of Kiddush Hashem. But on the other hand, stealing from a goy, it's worse than stealing from a Yehudi. Both of them are wrong. But when a person steals from a goy, the goy can curse Am Israel and the entire Torah by the action of one. Parallel to that, a Yehudi can be kind, can be good, can be generous to a goy, and the goy will remember this, as I've said in the past, stories of the Holocaust and other moments in human life. Now, the Sefer Hasidim also adds, how should a person speak? So it says, number one, even when you need to interact with someone that is very loud and talks in a very gross way, כל דבריך תדבר בענווה ובכבוד. It says that doesn't mean that you're going to lower yourself to the standard of that person so I can be like him. It says, God forbid, always a person should train to speak respectfully in a humble manner. Why? Divrei Hachamim benachat nishma'im. The very famous verse from Kohelet. The words of the wise are heard peacefully. Be'al tedaber devarim betelim. It says, and be careful what you talk about. Sometimes we talk about nonsense. We talk about things which are conducive to unholy or inappropriate things, etc. And be careful. But even if you are sitting in an area and then people came and they started to speak in topics which are not proper, al tohichem pen isneucha. It says, perhaps at this moment, better will be to stay quiet. As the Gemara says, we need to know when to speak, when to listen, and when to stay quiet. The problem with us is that we confuse. We speak when we have to stay quiet, we speak when we have to listen, and we listen when we have to speak, etc. So it says, beautiful from Mishle, Al tohachletz penis naeka, tohiach lahacham beyehaveka. It says, do not rebuke a buffoon, a scoffer, because he may dislike you. But go ahead, rebuke the wise, and he will love you. Why? Because when you go to the wise person, a normal wise person will say, thank you so much for bringing it to my attention. That is the way that a normal person that wants to do good in life functions, etc. And the Musar continues and it says that many times from these friendly conversations that contain nonsense or topics which are really not good on many levels can lead, has v'shalom, to topics which are really borderline forbidden, if it includes especially drinking and talking in a way that is not conducive for holiness and godliness for a Yehudi. And this is what the message of Sefer Hasidim says. Even though that in this case we witness how somebody talked and we witness how somebody functioned, it says we need to keep our posture, we need to keep our essence of who we are, and understand that even in the conversation with people, there are ways that a person can be Obed Hashem. There are ways that a person can serve God. Yes, even though that person that the Musar is telling us doesn't act properly and speak in a very pridefully way, or speak in a way that is saying so many nonsense things, and you have what to say to put the person down. I repeat what it says, Kol devarecha, all of our words, tedaber ba'anava, speak with humility, in a humble fashion, ubderech kavod, respect that person. Ki divrei hachamim benachat nishma'im. If this is because the words of the wise, when they're being said calmly, they get delivered. It's like, I'm not happy to bring this, but I bring it because I think that is adequate. We're talking about of Shalom Bayit, right? The relationship between husband and wife. And many times the wife says, my husband never listens to me, or the husband says, my wife doesn't listen to me. So I ask you a question, and you do not need to answer. How is your delivery? In other words, how are you delivering the message? Do you deliver the message in a rude way? Do you deliver the message in a respectful way, or in a criticizing way, or in a pleasant way? This is the answer that we cannot give you. Each person needs to digest the powerful words of the Musar of today, and Be'ezat Hashem, by talking respectfully, by talking properly, guess what? Only good things will come for the person's life, guaranteed. No one that ever said, I spoke nice and, has v'shalom, the opposite. If it's part of the writings of Shlomo HaMelech, it means that Be'ezat Hashem, that way of talking can bring good things into the life of the person. And Be'ezat Hashem, once the talk at home and the talk among people is in the proper way, so Be'ezat Hashem, one thing leads into the other and only brings great beracha and aslaha. So Yeh Ratzon that the words of Torah of today elevate the neshama of Don Isaac Silvera ben Bahie, And we express our gratitude again to the anonymous sponsors for graciously donating today's class. Shavua Tov umeborach to everybody. Have a great day. We'll see you Bezat Hashem later on, if not tomorrow morning at 9:15.